Okay, so let's jump right in. Some huge news just dropped. Two of the absolute biggest names in technology, NVIDIA and Palantir, have announced a massive partnership. And listen, this isn't just some small upgrade. We're talking about what could be the start of a whole new industrial revolution, all powered by AI.
And don't just take my word for it. That's a quote from NVIDIA's own CEO, Jensen Huang, talking about Palantir. It's a really bold claim, right? And it totally sets the stage for everything we're about to unpack. This team-up isn't just about building something powerful. It's about doing it at a speed that nobody's ever seen before.
And that really brings us to the heart of this whole explainer. You've got this incredibly powerful engine being built at a breakneck pace. But it forces us to ask a really critical question. Who's actually in the driver's seat? Who's steering this thing?
So what is this new engine exactly? Well, at its core, this partnership is all about combining two things. Palantir's super smart software, which is amazing at making sense of tons of complicated data, with NVIDIA's raw, world-beating computing power. The idea is to create what they're calling AI factories.
To really get what this means in the real world, just imagine a giant company's supply chain. Before, all their big decisions were based on reports from yesterday or last week. It was always reactive, always playing catch-up. But now, with this new engine, AI models can sift through data from thousands of places at once and spit out new recommendations in seconds. We're talking about a huge shift from reacting to the past to actually proactively shaping the future.
And this is all part of a much bigger vision. You've got these AI factories just churning out intelligence. You've got physical AI, think robots and self-driving cars, out there interacting with the real world. And it's all built on these standardized AI building blocks, these NIMs, that let basically anyone create complex AI applications super fast. This is the blueprint for a whole new level of tech capability. But, and this is a big but, here's where we run into a really deep kind of dangerous paradox. For all this excitement about building this unbelievably powerful engine, there's almost no conversation about how to actually control it. And that creates what's being called a governance vacuum. And this question just gets right to the point. I mean, think about it. If you build the fastest car in the world, but completely forget to install a steering wheel or brakes, you haven't made a race car, you've basically built a missile. That metaphor just perfectly captures the danger here. Incredible power without any system to guide it.
So this governance vacuum, it's not just about a lack of rules. It's the total absence of a system to keep things accountable and to make sure the AI is actually aligned with what we as humans value. And this leads to something called a decision deficit, where big organizations are either totally paralyzed, unable to act, where they just make these flawed, unaccountable choices because the tech is moving too fast for them to manage.
So, okay. If the problem is a supercharged engine with no steering wheel, then what's the solution? Well, the answer isn't to stop building the engine, it's to build the control system to guide it. And what we need is a solid blueprint for that, a framework for what's called a Governance Operating System, or GOS.
And honestly, the thinking here is spot on. The answer isn't to slam the brakes on all this cool innovation, no. It's to build the controls, the steering, the brakes, the GPS, right alongside the engine itself. That's how we can direct all that power in a wise way.
This whole GOS framework really rests on three main pillars, kind of the foundations of this new operating system. You've got a sovereign architecture, a hybrid intelligence model, and a resilient governance process. So let's break down what each of those actually means.
Now, to make these big ideas a little easier to wrap our heads around, the framework uses three really powerful metaphors. We're going to think about AI governance in terms of a constitution, a cabinet, and an immune system.
First up, the Constitution. This is like the fundamental law of the land for the entire AI system. It sets up these ethical firewalls, red lines that an AI just cannot cross. And, super importantly, it gives every single AI agent and every piece of data a verifiable digital DNA. What that means is you can trace every single decision right back to its source. It guarantees complete accountability.
Next, we have the cabinet. Now, this model completely rejects that old sci-fi idea of one all-powerful AGI making every decision. Instead, it pictures a human governor working together with a whole team, a pantheon, as they call it, of specialized AIs. So one AI might be a genius at exploring possibilities, another is a master of calculating risks, but the human always remains in charge, providing the wisdom, the purpose, and the overall strategic direction.
And finally, the immune system. This part shows us that governance isn't some static rulebook you write once and forget. It has to be a living, breathing, adaptive system. It uses automated AIs and dedicated human teams, red teams, whose only job is to constantly challenge the system.
They hunt for flaws, for biases, for hidden ethical risks, and that's what allows the entire thing to learn and correct itself over time.
So, let's bring this all together. On one hand, you have this incredibly powerful engine being built by companies like NVIDIA and Palantir. And on the other, you have the blueprint for a steering mechanism, a governance system, to actually guide it. This is how we can move from what feels like a reckless race toward a more controlled, a more wisely governed ascent.
You can really see the two sides of the coin here. On one side, you have the engine, AI factories, built from microservices, all pushing for exponential growth. Then on the other side, you have the steering, governed systems, built with verifiable AI components, all aiming for a wisely governed ascent. The key thing to realize is that these aren't opposing ideas, they're two complementary halves of a much bigger picture.
Look, building these incredible new tools is an amazing achievement, for sure. But it's only half the job. The other half, and you could argue it's the more important half, is creating the systems of control and wisdom to make sure these tools actually serve our best interests.
And that really leaves us with this final, urgent question. The technology is here. It is getting more powerful every single day. The debate isn't about if this future is coming anymore. The real debate, the one that every single one of us needs to be part of, is about who gets to write the rules. Who is going to write the constitution for this new age?